What's up, YouTube? We're out here working on the dually. We are finally going to start tinkering with the second gen swap I got to install because Mid-Michigan is coming up soon. So let me show you what I got to do. So we got to install all of these parts. And if you guys never installed a second gen swap, follow along because I'm going to be recording it and showing you guys what you got to do. Pretty simple, honestly. This is for the 5.9 Cummins. Pretty much identical. If you have a 6.7, it's a little bit more work, but we're gonna be removing the intake off the turbo. Super easy. And then obviously the manifold bolts, because we're switching over to studs. And then I'm gonna be putting the pretty powder coated parts on here. All right, obviously the first thing that we're gonna be doing is removing the flathead to the clamp for the turbo for the intake, and then pulling up our map sensor. Once that's off, I'm gonna undo the flathead there and take this whole assembly out. Once it comes out, you'll have a 10mm stud right here on your Cummins. This one's swapped, so you wanna do that 10mm. This lifts up, just give it some pressure, and it pops right out. So I'm gonna do that now. All right, look at all that room now. So with the intake out, like I said, we did the flathead, and then you got a 10mm here, and then you got your map sensor. It just lifts right out. All this room. So what we're doing for a second gen swap is that we are going to be removing all of this. We have no use for it. So to make it easy, I'm going to leave the turbo still hooked up while I remove everything. You got to undo your oil feed line. Sometimes the oil drain line on the bottom of the turbo can stay there. So when you're lifting up on it, it just pops right out of the port. But we got to undo the clamp for the exhaust down there. I believe that's an 11mm. You got to undo the clamp for the hot side over here, 11mm, and then an 11mm right there as well. So we're gonna get this taken care of. Super easy to do. Once those are out, we're gonna start working on the manifold. Those are all gonna be 15mm bolts. We'll probably start on that side, leave one in the middle here, and then we'll work our way around, and then start taking off the oil feed line and go from there. So I'm gonna take out the 11mm clamp down there, and then the one that's sitting right here, and then the other one up here on the intercooler, because I will not be using this piece again because we got this second gen swap. Okay, so now that I got that clamp loose down there, this one, that tube right there came off super easy. I used a pry bar and a dead blow to pop that clamp off right there. But other than that, surprisingly, these clamps came off super easy. It's not usually like that. Sometimes the clamps are rusty and you just can't get them loose. This one can stay on because that's staying with the turbo. And yeah, now I'll just break some of these loose really quick. They should be 15mm, and if I'm not mistaken, a 13mm. I want to get this housing off because there's nuts. I think there's 4 nuts that hold this heat shield on, and then behind it is the 13mm. So I'm gonna sit here and grab the impact. Let me just make sure it's a 15. And then all this is being done with basic cam tools. So yeah, 15mm for the shield, and then it's gonna be a 13 for the bolt itself. Now when I put the steed speed on, I got studs that are going in there, so it makes it super easy for putting everything back in. So let me get these 4 out and I'll pick it back up. All right, now I got the heat shield off. Now I got my 13mm. We can start taking off all these. Always leave one like on top right here, just so when it's all done it doesn't drop. You can undo the last one here. I'm gonna undo the oil feed line. It is a 13/16 wrench. Pretty much you just break them loose and then they unscrew it away. And gonna start doing that now. That's pretty much it. You got a electrical plug down there for the boost actuator. And yeah, let's get this taken off. All right, guys, so I'm a total of like maybe 40 minutes in, and I just got the manifold off. I'm gonna show you this now. So I got the turbo and manifold off. Let me show you guys how I do it, because it's simple until you get to that last bolt hole down there. Sorry for the lighting. But there is a way to get it out. What I do is there's a bracket on this heater core hose that connects into there. So this is the bracket. It connects onto the heater core hose that holds it on, and it hooks into that hose or the hole down there. I cut this bracket off because obviously you're not going to use it no more. Since I am going to a high mount second gen swap, I need to relocate my heater core hose because it's in the way of where the turbo and everything is going to be. I had to do this on my red one as well because it's a high mount setup, because the exhaust is going to be right here and it's right next to it. So I cut the bottom feed for the coolant line. I cut it on an angle. I kind of need to do it flat, so I'll flatten it out. But since I have a lot of parts trucks, I am going to take the piece that I cut out of it right here, and I'm going to cut it about right there. Now I'm going to take 2 pieces of rubber. This first one, it's going to go in here. I'm going to cut this back a little bit further, and then pretty much it's going to go straight down and into it like that. I'm just going to extend it out, but it won't be in the way no more. It'll go right down for where the exhaust bypasses it. But that's how you get rid of that. Instead of it being up here in the way, it'll go straight down. Next, I'm just gonna let everything clean up a little bit. I got the turbo drain out. I just put it back in the hole so nothing falls in there. I'm gonna clean that drain out really good. And then I gotta put the manifold studs in for the steed speed. But yeah, so here's where we're at. I gotta go into the truck and pull off that down pipe for the stock turbo. And then, yeah, just go from there. Right now, I'm gonna be working on fixing that coolant line. That's the next step. So I got my heater core hose off the top, and now I'm gonna be putting this on instead. I have parts trucks out here, so what this is it's this hose off of a parts truck out there. I cut about 2 inches off of it. It's gonna go all the way on the hose up there and go down there. I'm gonna double clamp the bottom because it doesn't have the barbs, so to say. And then that'll take care of the high mount reroute for this. And let me get that put on and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, there we go. We got the new heater line put on. Still stays from the top. Just go straight down to down there instead of coming out to about here, if you guys seen it before, which would be in the way of the downpipe going down, since I'm high mount swapping this. So I gotta pull off that old downpipe right there for stock turbo, and then I'm gonna be installing my studs for the steed speed. While I'm at it, I'm probably gonna undo their alternator brackets here, and then the hook, because you know I got those powder coated just to clamp the engine bay. Remove the brackets for this fan shroud on each side, get those put on. But that is where we are at, and let's transform this engine bay and see what it looks like. So I threw the drain line on. I just pulled the other one out and then got the new one put in. This is for the turbo, obviously. Next step is to put all the studs in for the steed speed manifold, which we have right here. Can't wait to get this thing mounted up because I love steed speed. I love the manifolds. And yeah, we're gonna be throwing, let me see, all these studs in right there with all the MLS gaskets, and we'll see how it looks. All right, now I almost forgot, since I am removing the second battery, I'm also doing a grid heater delete on this truck. And if you guys never done one before, it's super simple. Pretty much all you do is you remove the grid heater down here. You got 2 10 millimeters up there. That runs to this cable. you take this cable off to the solenoid right here. You're going to be unhooking this solenoid. There is two push, I don't know what they're called, but these plugs right here that just push right onto the stud right there. These are always corroded. You're gonna get two of them off the solenoid. If you have a 03 to 05, you have two solenoids, so you have 4 plugs total. Now on this, all you gotta do is tie these plugs up and tuck them up in the wheel well. And then once that is off, you got your crossover cable here, which goes from battery to battery. What I like to do is I cut this plug off and I get a new adapter, pretty much. I get one of these and I put it on here to go straight to the alternator. Because how this sits, this alternator charges this battery, which the crossover cable goes over and charges that battery. So I'm going to be removing this plug, the solenoid, the crossover cable. I'm cutting it right here, putting an end on it, a fitting. And then I'm going to be hooking the crossover cable straight to the alternator, so that'll clear up this whole area right here. Super easy to do. And then to get rid of the battery box, you got 13, 13, 13, 13. Then you do got to pull out your wheel well because you have two 13s on the inside. Battery box comes right out, and then you have this whole area opened up. That is what I'm going to be working on. I'm also taking off this fan shroud right now. You guys don't need to do any of this if you're just doing a second gen swap. I'm doing it because I'm putting powder coated brackets on and tidying up the engine bay, but I'll show you what's going on. All right, so a little bit more progress done. I did this off camera just because you guys won't be doing this unless you're doing a second gen swap, but I took off the feed neck for the coolant top hose right here. I took off the alternator bracket and I took off the hook. I also took off the brackets for the shield fan shroud. I gotta take this one off over here. There is 10 millimeters because I got the powder coated ones going on. Next step, I'm gonna start installing the steed speed. That way, if I put my powder coated stuff on, I don't bump it or nick it and start ruining that. But I'm gonna start putting some anti-seize on these studs and threading them all into the holes, so that way I can get the steed speed up and mounted. Alrighty, now I got these studs in, and I got the MLS gaskets installed. Now, I highly suggest anybody who is replacing a manifold or even just doing gaskets, get studs, because now you see how easy it is for me to hang up the steed speed. It's going to be so simple. I don't have to put one gasket in at a time and try to feed the bolts through. These gaskets sit right on the studs. Now I can put the steed speed up there and have no issues at all while I'm trying to put one nut to hold everything on. And boom, there it is. The steed speed is hung. Look at that. So I guess got 2 nuts holding it on. It's still loose, but now I don't have to fight putting gaskets on. Super excited. And now everything's coming together. I got to get the EGT probe installed in the bottom of that. And yeah, it's starting to look sweet. Got to get the turbo mounted. Everything's coming together nice and smooth. Tomorrow we'll catch up on stuff. It's getting a little dark out tonight. Beautiful weather, nice, calm, but we'll catch up on everything tomorrow. And can't wait to see how this truck looks. All right, so we're moving along. I got the turbine housing installed, just sitting there because I put the downpipe on it. Because the downpipe is a 4-inch, the exhaust on the truck's a 5-inch. So I got to figure out how to connect 4-inch to 5-inch. If you can see down there, I got these studs torqued down to 60 foot-pounds. I got the EGT probe ran up, ready to be installed. But that is where we are right now. I'm going to figure out the exhaust because I believe it's 4-inch inner diameter to 5-inch inner diameter because they both have flared ends. So let me get that figured out and I'll keep you guys updated. All right, a little backlash. I haven't worked on the shorty for 3 days now because it's been rainy. But let me show you what I've been done to it. And I got some parts installed and I got some new parts powder coated. And it's coming along. I'll show you what I do. So we got the Borg Warner S464 mounted. Got the turbo hooked up, we got the drain installed down there, got some nice powder coated parts installed, got the fan bracket. Next we got to get rid of this ground, unhook it from the block because I'm deleting the second battery. Then we're gonna come over to the other side. Let me show you. We got the valve cover back from powder. My buddy over at CC Garage does all my powder work for me. Got some nice tow hooks going on there. These look sick. Super excited to see how they turn out. All the piping, intake horn, and then I had them do an intake plenum for me last minute because if I'm gonna be putting the valve cover and the intake horn on here, I want this done. So it needs to look good. You're not gonna see too much of it except back there just a little bit and right here because this is blue. The block off for the grid heater is blue and then the plenum's blue. If you guys want any parts like this also, we will be selling kits. The kits can either come with the fan shroud brackets, the alternator bracket, the tow hook, stock intake horns. We can do plenums. We can do cold side pipes and hot side pipes. Pretty much any color you guys want. If you guys want parts made, we can do that. All right, so we're getting a little bit closer. And my bright idea wanted the intake plenum powder coated, which my buddy did for me. And it was a bitch. I forgot how long it takes to take off the plenum. So he's got all the bolts out. We're gonna remove it now. Got the plenum all taken out. We gotta get the sensor taken off of it. And we get to put on the nice blue powder coated one. So that's gonna go on there. After I get some stuff cleaned up over here. I don't want no more fuel leaks because it's dripping back there since I had pulled the lines. Vacuum out the intake plenum area and then yeah, we'll start reinstalling everything and go from there. But yeah, that's a long process. If you guys want that little extra powder coat, it takes probably an hour to do. All right, YouTube, so it's been about 4 days. We ran into some parts we were missing as we were putting this together and got them over to my buddies so we can get them powder coated. Let me show you. So everything is coming together. It's looking good. Next thing I'm going to be doing, it's not going to be done before mid-Michigan, but I'm going to get a coolant pipe, hard coolant pipe. I had this almost together and I noticed I forgot my bottom valve cover. So that's a no-no. It looked really ugly with the blue and then just a plain metal, all dirty. So I had this powder coated really quick so we could throw it on there. Got the intake horn, S&B, along with the cold side pipe ran. I got to go uptown and get some new bolts here. He didn't powder coat these in the intake horn. So I'm going to go get some stainless steel ones to make it look better. And then I guess, yeah, that's it. So we still got to put the hot side pipe on over here, the air filter, and just button everything back up. We do got to put a end on, or take off the ground, put an end on the power wire that runs to that feed for the alternator to charge the one battery. And yeah, we'll keep you guys updated. All right, guys, so she's almost done. Check this out. Got the intake mounted, got the hot side down there mounted. This one's a little bit different from my red race truck because the angle's a little different, so I had to tinker with that because it's super close to the oil drain right there, but you can still see there's a gap. Got everything fitted and hooked up nicely. I got the plug in for the cap back there for the smeeding. I gotta clean everything up now. We're gonna go take it for a test drive here shortly. I still gotta hook up the exhaust all the way. It is just sitting down there. It's on, but it's just sitting. I gotta hook up my EGT lines, run it up here. Eventually this truck's gonna get wire tucked, so it's nice and clean. But engine bay is done. Let's just give her a start up, see how she sounds. Oh yeah, started right up. I can show you guys what I did for the adapter. As you can see, I have a 4-inch to 5-inch adapter right there. I gotta put a clamp and weld it. But for now, that's gonna have to work. Almost ready for mid-Michigan. Now I'm gonna go take it for a test drive. All right, guys, so I'm 90% done with the dually, and got the red shorty here too. About to finish everything up. A few more days and we'll be ready for mid-Michigan. But if you want to check these trucks out, they will be at Revved Up Richmond. Another burnout contest where the shorty's gonna throw down. Hopefully we'll have the nitrous hooked up, but let me go over you guys a little walk around and we'll show you what we did. All right, so if you guys haven't seen this truck before, this is my shorty dually. This is a 2006. This truck started its life out as a 2-wheel drive long bed. It was a white truck. You can check out my other videos and on my TikTok as well. This thing was completely rusted out when I first bought it. I got the inspiration from my race truck that I built. I've always wanted a shorty dually, single cab short bed dually, and this was my project. I built this truck just over a year. I'll give you a little walk around on it. So we put some 20 by, I think they're 8.5 inch wheels, Mayhem wheels, with some Venom Power tires. These tires are 275 55/20s. Front and rear are the same. When I first bought this setup, I didn't want any poke, but they couldn't really get me some that didn't. But turns out I love this. So we are putting a roll pan on it, so getting rid of the rear bumper, because this truck is gonna eventually have a gooseneck put back in it. So I don't think it'll be too much hauling. I wanted to build this truck to haul my red one, but I don't think I'm gonna do that just because I love how this truck turned out. And I'm gonna be buying a double place gooseneck just to haul both of my shorties to events. So I got a sport bumper going on, getting paint matched. I got an SRT 10 hood going on it with a sport grille. So everything's gonna be completely paint matched, just like my red one. We just finished up the 2nd gen swap. This is a Borg Warner S464. We got a Smeating valve cover, SMB intake horn, and then everything else is just powder coated. Cleaned up the engine bay, a Steed Speed angled manifold, and I angled it up so you get the high mount. I took the downpipe off of my red truck because I hood stacked it, so I got a Phillips Fab downpipe for the high mount. I'm probably gonna rip some of this insulation out because you know that stuff catches fire. And yeah, this truck turned out amazing. I love the way it looks. Sounds good. I got a couple more things to hook up and we're done. Gotta get the EGT sensor ran through. This truck's not gonna be nothing fancy as far as power. I just wanted the 2nd gen swap for the looks. We got an Edge CTS3 Evolution set on the hot tune. I gotta run the EGT wire in here, but I'm gonna keep it up there mounted so I can run the wire through the headrests, down the pillar, hide everything. This whole interior is getting swapped out for the early 3rd gen. I got some mint seats that are going in here. I got a mint dash. I just don't like the look of the late 3rd gen style dashes and the interior. So mint leather, so I need to find some single cab door panels, single cab trim, and back trim for around there. But once it's all out, it's all getting dynamatted because I have a system back here that has 4 10s. These are Scar 10-inch subwoofers, and I just got them on a baby amp right now. I do have a huge amp that's gonna be way too loud for this truck, but that's where we are at right now. I do have an AirDog 100 feeding the setup, so stock injectors, stock CP3. This truck is going to need injectors soon, but it'll live to see mid-Michigan, and then over the winter I'll do some maintenance on it, head studs, extra G injectors. But just check that out, so sweet looking. I got a brake res cover getting installed. That is the same color as this. I'm gonna get the Rolly Fab Customs coolant tank, same color. Just a couple little odds and ends. And then wire tuck both of my trucks to clean everything up. Maybe I can get the steel braided brake booster cable kit to hide all that. This truck will have AC again eventually in the future, but for right now, this is where we're at. And then obviously, you know, my race truck, the 1,000 horsepower Shorty. This was my first love. Hood stacked. I love this truck. Let me pop the hood and I can show you this one too. This is a Phillips Fab 2nd gen swap kit. All my nitrous supplies right there where we are going to be running it. This is it's just a Hemi. So this has Exergy 100 over injectors, Exergy 12mm CP3. That's the Whirly Fab coolant tank I'm putting on the blue one, and then similar brake res cover going on the blue one. But I want to get this all wire tucked and cleaned up as well. I do want to get an overlay for the blue one, and pretty much just make these my show trucks. Once this is wire tucked, this truck's gonna be clean. This is my baby. This thing makes over 1,000 horsepower right now on fuel. Once I run the nitrous, I should be, I don't know, we'll have to see. I have no idea, but I made 1,080 currently on my lower tune. I still have a max effort tune, so it's probably 1,100-ish horsepower. But yeah, that is it. That's the wrap for these trucks. If you guys like watching this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Again, I'm gonna get a cover here, cover there, and a coolant tank, so it just fits everything. Hide some wires, tuck some wires, paint match some parts, winter project, but we're getting there. But that's a wrap, guys. If you guys loved watching this content, loved watching me build the dually, don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Follow me along as we build more trucks. I'm not done. This is just the 2 shorties I built right now. There's more to come. I do want to build a 3rd one and just see where it goes. I got the race truck, I got the dually. My next is I want to build a strictly burnout truck. So again, if you like these contents, like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you in the next one.